Hi YouTube, it's been a while and I haven't made a video in a long time. So I decided today, since I'm just back from the hairdressers, after you've had a blow dry, it's always a good time to make a video, I find. So here I am. So I was trying to decide what to talk to you about, and then I just decided I'd answer a question for you. So the question is how I met my husband. So a lot of people are curious when I tell them that I'm married to a Chinese man from China. And so I thought I'd tell you how we met. I was working in Beijing at the time, and he is from a place in China called Qingdao, which is on the coast halfway between Beijing and Shanghai. And I went to Qingdao on a work trip. And I was also thinking of moving to Qingdao to take up a new position with the company that I was working for. And on the first trip that I went there, I was out to dinner with my boss and some of the other workers. After dinner, we went onto this French bar in Qingdao, which is not there anymore, but it was in the old part of town, and it was run by some French guys, and it had this really long wooden table. And we went in there, and my boss and I, who was an American guy, were having a drink, and my husband came up to us and said, do you mind if I join you? And so he did. He joined us. We were chatting and I got to know him, and he was a local guy. And it was refreshing that he asked it in such a casual way, like, do you mind if I join you? In other words, can we chat? As opposed to, you know, the standard line, which I'd heard many times in China, which was from Chinese people, can I practice English with you, or would you be my language exchange partner, or something like that, which was total, you know, like, you want to just get to know me because you want to practice English. That, you know, I just wanted to be taken for a human who wanted to interact and chat. I told him that I was moving to Qingdao. I gave him my business card, and he later said to me, I don't know why you give out your number to some strange guy, but anyway, I must have felt like he was trustworthy, and my hunch was right. And then a couple of months later, when I moved to Qingdao, I was sort of on my own in this new town. I didn't know anyone, so I think I texted him and said, I think he'd rung me when I was in Beijing to say, have you moved to Qingdao yet? And I said, no, not yet. And after I'd been there a couple of weeks, I was a bit lonely one Friday, and I thought, okay, I'll ring him and say, like, are you going out with friends? Can I join? That kind of thing. And he was going out to dinner with some of his friends, so I went along. And then in the meantime, I met some other Australians in the city, and so his group of friends and my group of friends started to hang around together. So that was a good way of getting to know him. And then a friend of his sort of noticed that we might be a good pair. So it hadn't really crossed either of our minds that, you know, maybe we could, oh my gosh, there's a fly. That we would be a good, it hadn't really crossed either of our minds that we would be like a romantic couple at this point. He was just keen to like meet different people, and I was, just trying to make new friends in a new town. And then when his friends sort of pointed it out to us, I think we both kind of went, oh, we didn't really think about that. And then, so I think we sort of realized that, you know, there was a bit of an attraction there. He was away for work, and then I realized that I'd missed seeing him. And so then when he came back from that trip, we sort of realized that we wanted to start going out together. It wasn't much longer after that we both, I'm not quite sure who brought it up initially, but both of us were expressing, because I think we were both in our late 20s. I think I was 27 and he was 28. And we both expressed a need, or we wanted to be open with each other, that we were not looking for just to like have a girlfriend and hang around. Like I myself was at the point where I was ready to settle down. My biological clock was ticking, and I was looking for a husband. And he sort of said, yeah, I'm not messing around either. And so that was refreshing that we both sort of met each other at the same time. And so very quickly he was like, you need to meet my parents. And because if my parents don't like you, then we can't get married. And so being from that traditional sort of background. And I said, well, you need to come to Australia, because if you don't like it in Australia, then, you know, I plan to live in Australia. So we got to know each other, and how we became a couple, and how we decided to get married. I'm prompted to make this video because I've been following along. There's an Australian girl called Georgia Free. She is a woman who is making videos She has a new YouTube channel which is growing very quickly, and she's definitely worth a look. And she's the age I was in my late 20s when I was looking for a man to be my husband. And I honestly I hadn't found an Australian man who was ready to kind of be my husband. So I ended up finding a Chinese husband. So anyway, so she's at the age where she is kind of settled in her career, but she wants to start a family and she's looking for a husband. And so I thought, well, I'll tell the story of how I met my husband. Fast forward now, I think we've been married for 15 years and we have 3 children. And like any marriage, it's had its trials, but we are enjoying a fruitful marriage. And I do most of the child rearing and I enjoy that. And I do dabble outside the home in work. And I think I feel a bit of societal pressure to do that, to work outside the home, but I actually think that the work I'm doing raising my kids is really important as well. And so when I hear people talking about the need for people to work outside the home in order to, you know, maintain their sense of self or to be a good person and bring in money is kind of potentially undermines the unpaid work that we do at home, and the volunteer work that we do running some of the clubs and things that our children take part in. And I also, tying into this is this, you know, constant media barrage of there's not an equal number of women in Parliament, there's not an equal number of coaches at the AIS. I heard the other day an equal number of women coaches to men coaches in the AIS. And I felt like saying, well, of course there's not, because women still do most of the child rearing and maybe they like to do that. And we are choosing to not take up these jobs like being a parliamentarian or a politician because we know it would take us away from our families and we don't want that. So I've gone a bit off track here, but that's all tied in with my current musings on, you know, what it means to be married and the traditional roles and whether society values those roles, and just some things that have been crossing my mind lately as I struggle with the transition back into work as my children get bigger. So I could go on, but I won't. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe to my channel and like the video, and I'll link another video that I made earlier, which was talking about the sacrifice that I'd made raising my children and the impact that it had on my career. So it's nice to see you again. For all my regular subscribers, did you see I'm almost up to 300 subscribers? Okay guys, that's it. I will see you in the next one.